Welcome back. Here in the US, Monday marks Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It is a day of service to commemorate the life and legacy of the iconic civil rights leader. People are encouraged to reflect on racial equity and the life that Dr. King left behind. Schools and many businesses, including the stock market, are closed. King was assassinated in 1968. Joining me is Terence. He's a speaker, activist and author of the book When We Stand, The Power of Seeking Justice Together. Thanks so much for your time, Terence. Now tell us about or how MLK's life and legacy will be remembered today.
Yeah, I think ML King's life and legacy is central to us creating what he would consider the more beloved community. Dr. King called us to see the world as our address, and he challenged us to live together interconnected, interdependent, and interrelated, to have this type of mindset. And I think the beloved community perspective is important because it allows us to see people around the world as our neighbors, and calls us to kind of lead with a person-oriented mindset instead of a thing-oriented mindset. And Dr. King's philosophy is important, and it's being remembered not just here in the U.S., but all around the country and world, to love our neighbors and display that compassion to those around us.
Dr. King spent less than 13 years in the public eye campaigning for civil rights and racial equality. In that short amount of time, he was able to bring more progress towards racial equity in the United States than the previous 350 years. Just tell us more about his legacy.
Yeah, I think his legacy embodies the fact that he was trying to usher us into a place where we have peace on earth. He has a famous quote that says this, that if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, tribe, our class, and even our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. I think that is essential to his life and legacy about building a more world perspective orientation for all.
So when you reflect on the current economic, political climate of not just the US, but the world today, how do you think Dr. King's philosophy corresponds with the major social and political issues around the world? You know, how would he view where we are in regards to racial disparity in general? Looks like
I think Dr. King's concept of the beloved community was so strong and so powerful because, you know, in the beloved community, poverty, hunger, homelessness can't be tolerated because it's, you know, this kind of international and global standard of human decency, right? You know, in the beloved community, racism and all forms of discrimination, classism, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by this all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood and even personhood. And, you know, Dr. King used phrases like world house and global village and beloved community to call us to this interconnected, interdependent, and interrelated mindset. And I think that's very essential because, you know, in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? He suggests that all inhabitants of the globe are now neighbors. And I think that calls us to be more kind and more compassionate about the sufferings of those around us.
It goes deeper, though, on a practical level in many ways. I mean, of course, his key message is integration, but he means by not just hanging out together and sort of being peaceful together, but also having access to credit, seeing the value of your home increase, accumulating wealth. This is something that Biden spoke about this morning in his speech. Do you think that the government is doing enough to establish a fairer, you know, more equitable economic society?
Yeah, I think that the government can do more. What you're talking about is, you know, I think Cornel West said it best, that justice is what love looks like in public, right? And I think that, you know, our government needs to create more equitable, fair wages, livable wages for those who are impoverished, creating more access for those who are unhoused, and really fighting for equitable scales to balance on the side of those who have been marginalized and made vulnerable by unjust systems. So yeah, I would say that Dr. King is not just talking about, a kumbaya, just see those around you, but really challenging systems of injustice to make a more equitable world
All right,
for
Terence, thank you
all.
so much for your time. Terence Lester there.